disruptive.
America that I fuck.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. AI technology. It's one of those things where it could sound creepy and disturbing and destructive, but there's also some kind of useful instruments of AI technology. As I say, when it comes to the emergence of technology, because I always, I'm one of those people that are passionate about, what comes next, the new technologies that are coming out and innovation that comes forward. And some of it, yes, is scary. Some of it, yes, is chaotic. If you look at the World Economic Forum, for example, and saying that they want to monitor brainwaves, like that's chaotic. That's, intrusion and just absolutely barbaric. I, completely and condone any sort of technology for that. But when it comes to for AI purposes, for example, like, if it makes it easier for a job situation, or if you have robotics doing the destructive work that could be potentially harmful for human beings and making the workplace easier for you, I see the benefit to it. The way I see AI is the way I see, like a hammer. Yes, it's better to build a house with tools, but tools can't build you a house on its own. It needs the human interaction. And that's what I've been saying. It depends on who is in charge, who is actually controlling the AI, is the more problematic situation that we need to understand and discuss with. Because there's always these notations, there's always these fear-mongering tactics of how AI is going to just dominate over us, and it's going to take over the world, and it's going to replace all the jobs. And I always say that, and you look at corporations, they're trying to replace people with robotics. They're always trying to find a way to basically fear tactic us to say that, well, if you don't get into line and don't work for us 24/7 and plead to us, then you'll be replaced by someone else or replaced by a robot at this point. So, you've seen this before. For example, I'm sure you've seen many of these articles saying that AI could replace the equivalent of 300 million jobs. Our report came out. This is from the BBC. Stuff like that. Yes, I could see that as scary. Yes, I could see that as potentially, what the future could hold. But that's why we need to rally corporations and employers that instead of completely replacing individual, human beings by robots and just assuming that robots are going to do the exact same jobs as human beings, is no, we have to find a way that we can introduce AI to human activities so that it can make our lives easier for us, but not completely replace it. That's the thing we need to look forward to. But, when you have nefarious figures that are in control of this, they're already dead set on trying to find new ways to use AI technology and the new advancements of gadgets in the technological world to oppress us. And that's why I say it's more dangerous to look at who's behind the controls of AI than the AI technology itself. And take, for example, the World Economic Forum, for example, here, announcing that AI technology is going to replace democracy. That's not even a hyperbole. I wish that was a joke. I wish that was something that, someone said in a sketch, but no. This is the World Economic Forum. This is Klaus Schwab, the dirty toilet brush cleaning nefarious world leader, discussing with this tech billionaire about the idea that maybe AI technology should just replace all the democratic processes, elections, campaigns, all of that. That human beings don't need to desire to choose an effective leader and actually have contributions to the effectiveness of government. And listen just how disturbing this sounds.
The technology now is, and digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
So he's claiming that, it's going to be so great because it'll just take over democracy. And then why do we need elections? It's such a hassle-free system. Why deal with the mess and clutter of choosing a favorable candidate and having best representation of your government when it's just going to be decided for you? And trying to sell it to you as some sort of convenient factor to that. Instead of just saying, hey, it's a total dictatorship and we're using technology to advance our reign of terror. Rather than just coming forward and saying we're diminishing democracy, they're going to sell you the idea of the convenient factor of how great it is that we don't have to deal with campaigns and elections. You don't have to get off your ass on a cold November day or whatever day of the week you're, voting your campaign. It doesn't matter anymore. We could just be clueless altogether and just let fate decide for us. It's just as nefarious as when they're trying to sell the digital ID system. Like, it's the convenient factor. You don't have to carry wallets anymore. Hey, you don't have to sign up for a passport because, hey, we're just going to give all your data to this private corporation that's tied to the government, and then they're going to make the decisions all for you. Whether you can drive, whether you can have a bank account, what shops you're going to, what groceries you're buying. If you could travel anywhere, we'll do that for you. We'll save you the heartache and the thinking and the determination for you. You be your lazy, sloppy, sloth-like self. We'll just do everything for you because it's the convenient factor. Not to complete total domination over you. And I just want to show, this is an article here on someone wrote up about the dangers of the AI technology because it's already trying to influence parts of democracy. It's already taken effect. And that's the scary part. Like, this is all these little forums, all these little videos that are coming out. These are not, warnings. These are all happening. It's already happening now. The Great Reset is already upon us. It's not something that's going to happen in 2030 or 5 years from now. It's already upon us. There's already factors already playing in, and people are just starting to notice it. People are just starting to get aware of it. And that is dangerous. That's dangerous. And so is this. In an era of generative AI, however, the signals sent by a balance of electronic communications by pressing policy issues may be severely misleading. Technological advances now allow malicious actors to generate false constituent sentiment at a scale by effortlessly creating unique messages, taking positions on a side of a myriad of issues. Even with old technology, legislators struggle to discern between human-written and machine-generated communications. In a field experiment conducted in 2020 in the United States, we composed advocacy letters on 6 different issues and then used those letters to train what was then the state-of-the-art generative AI model, GPT-3, to write hundreds of left-wing and right-wing advocacy letters. We sent randomized AI and human-written letters to 7,200 state legislators, a total of about 35,000 emails. We then compared response rates to the human-written and AI generative correspondence to assess the extent to which legislators were able to discern and therefore not respond to machine-written appeals. On 3 issues, the response rates to AI and human-written messages were strategically indistinguishable. On 3 other issues, the response rates to AI generative emails were lowered but only by 2% on average. This suggests that a malicious actor cabal of easily generating thousands of unique communications could potentially skew legislators' perceptions of which issues are more important to their constituents, as well as how constituents feel about any given issue. And who exactly is in the driver's seat when it comes to this AI technology? The establishment. So this is how disturbing this gets. They can use AI technology to craft these well-executed letters that make it sound, they can make it sound like a grassroots organization. They can make it sound like it's a bartender from New York or a college student in California or some shopkeep in Florida, and make it sound like it's genuinely written by them, and they can't tell the difference, even though it is written by an establishment kook. That's how disturbing this gets. And it's already taken effect because they already had samples of this in 2020. And here we are in 2024, just discussing this now. So you can already imagine how much of an influence this technology is already taking effect. You can already imagine how malicious our democracy is turning into with the extension of the technological advances. We already have a dictatorship, a totalitarian reign against our democratic institutions. But now it's going to get worse because now they have the advancement of technology to use at their whim. And like I said, technology can be useful. It's great. They're tools. They're able to help our lives accessibly get better. But it depends on who is at the reign, who is at control of that technology. That's the disturbing part. And considering that it's mostly going towards the establishment who have already determinedly decided that we don't need democratic values, we don't need elections, we don't need to determine ourselves and our sovereignty, we don't need to determine that for ourselves, we'll just take it off your hands. We'll decide for you. We'll make up our own legislation through this technology and manipulate legislators to think that they're reading articles or reading hand notes from the genuine public because they won't know the difference. And that's disturbing. That's crazy. And it's already taken effect. It's already taken effect. And this is exactly how, the World Economic Forum and other conglomerates, BlackRock and Vanguard and all these other corporations that have already taken effectiveness of AI technology to their own advantage. And this is why people need to be aware of this technology. People need to wake up and realize, who's actually at the reign of this, who is taking the driver's seat, and what to be aware of who's taking in the driver's seat. So I also just want to add this in too, because it's noteworthy to know that Klaus Schwab, and this is why he's so perfect in the role of the founder of the World Economic Forum, the founder of this global criminal catastrophe, this, kind of evil cult decimated on oppressing everybody. He's so perfect for that role. You know why? Because Klaus Schwab, I can't believe his middle name is Martin. That's the most normal thing about him. Klaus Martin Schwab was born in 1938, March 30th, to Eugen Wilhelm Schwab and Erika Epreschen. I don't even know how to pronounce those names. His parents had moved from Switzerland to Germany during the Third Reich in order for his father to assume the role of director of the Escher Weiss AG, an industrial company and contractor for the Nazi regime. And I just find this so hilarious because all that's being said right now about anti-Semitism, all the flack you're hearing of, calling for a ceasefire and saying that's anti-Semitic, or bringing up the war crimes of Israel as anti-Semitic, or not, being supportive of the death cults and the occupation and the complete slaughtering of children as anti-Semitic. How this never got to attention, how this is not called anti-Semitic, is beyond me. Of everything that's being said, every single notion that they're calling anti-Semitic for the purposes of smearing that person, for the purposes of diminishing the response to that to personally rise their own personal agenda. How this is not being called anti-Semitic. You have basically a Nazi Hitler Youth in control of the world economy. How this is not problematic. How they're not calling this out. How the state of Israel is not freaking out by this. They're more concerned about college kids on campus that are saying that we need to stop the firing. They're calling them, terrorist sympathizers, but yet here you are with actual terrorists. Actual people responsible for the death and destruction of humanity at large. It's just so unbelievable. It's crazy. And these people are able to continue on their death and destruction. Meanwhile, you see it on Twitter, you see it on Facebook, you see it all across social media. We are screaming and yelling and putting vendettas against each other, making death threats, and it's just absolutely insane sometimes. Just how far it goes. Meanwhile, he's able to get away with his war crimes. He's able to get away with the outright destruction, the complete obliteration, and the complete demonstration of this takeover. And everyone just, it's amazing that no one's called this out. No one's willing to put in perspective this, because we know that this is a thing. It's no longer a conspiracy to say that there's a bunch of bankers and elitists and billionaires that go to a certain place to discuss the fate of humanity. That's not a conspiracy. That's not an Alex Jones fairy tale. This actually happens on a regular basis. The world is run by these people, these malicious, evil psychopaths. And just like the movie Network from 1974, there are no countries. It's just companies. And we are being manipulated. We are being controlled. We are being oppressed. We are just being completely dominated over this force. And it's just amazing that you have almost the equivalency of a Nazi leader in charge of the World Economic Forum, and of all the smear attacks of everything being anti-Semitic. No one has the balls. No one has the balls or moxie to call this anti-Semitic. Because this would be anti-Semitic. This would actually be something that Jewish people should be fearing. But they don't do it. Why? Because the state of Israel is in support of the World Economic Forum. They adore people like him. They adore the domination factor. They adore the fact that Klaus Schwab is able to purposely go after individual countries and manipulate them for their own purposes. State of Israel would definitely be on board for this. Just like any other creepy, psychotic, sociopathic buffoon, this malicious, evil, darkening warlord would definitely be on board with it. They will do everything in their power to get into this club. And quote the words of George Carlin, it's a big, giant club. You and I ain't in it. And for good reason. I would never, ever want to take part in something like this. This is just absolutely gross. Just what we know already about the stuff about the World Economic Forum. Just absolutely gross.